All right, I am here with your May market update. We're going to be reviewing all the stats from our market for April. So let's dig into it. And just want to say a huge thank you to everybody that has responded and told me which pieces of the market updates you see value in, and even giving me a little feedback for moving forward. So thank you. All that makes a difference, and it helps me bring you the information that you actually want. So buyers, first of all, hang in there. I know it's been tough. There's been limited inventory. Rates have been fluctuating a little bit, although they've kind of started to stabilize, at least for the last few weeks, thankfully. Uh, the good news, I think second half of the year, you may start to see some more inventory. You may have a little bit better chance to jump into a home without so much competition. However, another thought with that, for every little bit that the home prices do soften up or drop a little bit, you are going to see some sellers that are just going to completely step back from the market. And that's part of the reason that we have super low inventory right now. So it's just going to be an ebb and flow. And I do think we're going to see maybe a fairly flat market for the next couple of years. But I'm very cautious on making any predictions because, as we saw in the beginning of COVID, a lot of people thought the market was going to absolutely crash. That didn't happen. In fact, it went the other way. So I'm cautious about making predictions. Sellers, you're in a good position right now. Things have been moving well. There's a lot of demand in the market. There's not as much competition, which has been really good. However, I expect that window to close, and it's probably going to be closing soon. Candidly, I think if you're not on the market by the end of this month, you might be chasing the market. I do think things are going to soften up as we get into that summer and fall season. The only reason that I see that not happening is if the Fed funds rate increases do slow things down with the economy, slow down the employment rates, slow down the inflation, and that in turn brings mortgage rates down a little bit, we may see some buyers jumping back into the market, which will keep that velocity moving forward. However, if that doesn't happen, sellers, I expect summer and fall to be a little bit slow. So you've got a window, it's closing, take advantage. All right, so let's talk about that. The Fed funds rate, they increased it another 25 basis points, but keep in mind, I have to reiterate this often because a lot of folks don't understand that the Fed funds rate is not mortgage rates. They're two separate things. The Fed funds rate does not directly impact mortgage rates. And there are times when we've seen their rate go up and mortgage rates actually went down. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's dig into the stats because I know there's some of you that like the hard data and the numbers. The Tri-County area, inventory is up 5.4% in April, but that is still about a third less than we would normally be seeing this time of year for a spring market with increasing activity and increasing inventory. The time on market has dropped, that's just a factor that we're seeing with the buyer demand that's out there right now and the limited inventory. So time on market is down to 41 days on average, and the homes are selling at 98% of the list price, which is a slight increase. Median sales price in the Tri-County area jumped 2.7% in 1 month. So it's up to 565,000. That's almost back to where we were in January of 22. Remember, prices went up in the first half of 2022, then they dropped to December, and now they've started to come back up a little bit, just a little bit. So if we break that down, we look at the more affordable price range, everything under 600,000, it is slightly better. Instead of 41 days, homes are selling in 40 days, and instead of 98%, they're actually selling at 99% of list price. So if you're a buyer and you're looking at anything under 600,000, just keep in mind you might have to be going a little bit more competitive on your bids in order to potentially win if it is a multiple offer situation. And there is a lot more demand for those homes under 600. Let's talk about Placer. Placer County inventory is down 0.4%, so not much, but the sales actually dropped quite a bit in April. So that tells me that March was a little bit slow for pendings. Could have had something to do with the weather. However, once we got to April, those pendings shot up by 31.6%. So we are definitely going to see a big jump in sales this month in May, and then I'll bring you that data once we get to the end of the month. But again, inventory in Placer County is still down by about 30% from what we would normally see. Placer County time on market dropped by 22.2%, so it's down to 42 days, very similar to the Tri-County average. Home sales numbers improved, so they're actually up to 97% of the list price, which is actually a little bit lower than the Tri-County area. And what that kind of tells me with the amount of activity, the volume, the velocity of the market, taking all those things into account, it tells me that in spite of the demand in Placer County and the activity, sellers are actually listing too high and they're having to come down off their list price. And 97% is a little bit lower than what we're seeing in a lot of the markets. So very interesting. Sellers, keep that in mind. You have more strength when you're new to the market. About 3 weeks in, that really drops off. Buyers start to wonder, what's wrong with it? Is there something wrong with the house? Is it just the price? Well, if it's the price, let's go lowball them. You get investors that wait for things to get stale on the market and then they come and lowball. So don't miss that window. Make sure you price it right. Get an offer, get a strong offer in the first 3 weeks, and you'll be in great shape. Median sales price in Placer County is up 1.6%. It's up to $650,000. And that's basically where we were at the end of 2021. So again, we're doing okay. We're seeing fluctuation in the market. And if we do look back, we're down 9.1% year over year for sales price, median sales price. But we've been up for the last few months. So again, in summary, we're having a good spring. I don't think it's going to last. Be prepared for a little bit slower summer and fall this year, and we'll just keep you informed as we go. So if you have any questions, you need any info on your specific property, or you want a valuation, or even just to know what's happening in your neighborhood, reach out. I'd be glad to help, glad to get you that information. And as always, thank you very much for sticking around. I know these can get a little bit long, but we want to bring you all the information. Thanks again.